So good morning, everybody. Nice to see everybody on this fresh Saturday morning. So let's start our first full day on the retreat with a really nice, relaxing meditation. Just letting everything go. In order to arrive right here. Just dropping all the stuff. And just with that much, can you feel the lightness that comes? Just dropping all the stuff. Ah. And as we do that, taking care to notice the change in the direction of awareness. It's right here now. Dropping means not attaching to thoughts, worries, sounds, memories. We all know what the stuff is. We can just drop it like that. And the way we do it is we change the arrow of awareness from going out towards all those things, all those objects, and we bring awareness right here to this body and to this breath. And it feels like coming home. We can even take a deep breath, and it will come naturally because the body is so happy that we've come back. See if you notice the body will naturally take a deep breath. Just enjoy that deep breath. And enjoy each exhalation. Enjoy this sense of coming home. Just making a few little micro adjustments in the posture that will unkink the body in such a way that it allows the breath to come in more fully with less obstruction, allowing us to take a slightly deeper or even a much deeper breath just by this adjustment in posture, just allowing the breath to really come in and go down fully. It's like a little investigation of the relationship of the body to the breath, how they're interrelated. And we just search for that sweet spot where we have both an uprightness and a strength in the body, and at the same time, an utmost relaxation and settledness and balance and softness. And as the breath comes in, it just strengthens this whole solidity. And aliveness courses through the body. We can just enjoy this so much. Using our awareness as a relaxation tool, we can scan it down through the body to help us deepen relaxation, deepen and lengthen breathing. Directing awareness first to the face, just relaxing all the muscles in the face. You might even have noticed how unconsciously you were holding a little bit of tension up there around the eyes. Unconsciously holding. We'll notice that unconscious holding as soon as we set the intention to relax the face, relax the mouth, relax around the ears. Oh, we were holding a little tension there. We just let it go and we have a soft, kind face. And we relax into the soft, kind, loving face. A little smile that'll come naturally. Continuing to breathe. Scanning awareness down through the shoulders, relaxing the shoulders. Just as we use awareness as a relaxation tool, we can also use the breath the same way. So as we breathe in, relaxing the shoulders, breathing out, relaxing the shoulders. Breathing in, relaxing the arms. Breathing out, relaxing the hands. Scanning down through the upper back. Relaxing the upper back. Breathing in, I relax around the heart. Breathing out, I relax around the heart. Breathing in, I notice the warm, bright, loving heart of awareness in the middle of my chest. Breathing out, I support my loving heart with my breath. Breathing in, I strengthen my loving heart. Breathing out, I release my loving heart. Scanning down through the belly. Enjoying each breath, enjoying the deepening of relaxation. Breathing in, I relax my legs and my toes. Breathing out, I relax my legs and my toes. Breathing in, I fill my whole body with my loving breath. Breathing out, I relax my whole body with my loving breath. Notice as we go along like this, with this continuity of mindful awareness, that our relaxation is accompanied by an increasing brightness in the mind. It's not a relaxation that's dull. It's a relaxation that's bright and interested and loving. Because that's the way awareness is. Thought is dull. Thought is distracting. Awareness is bright. And awareness is deeply interested and loving. So to the degree that we can maintain continuous awareness, we maintain continuous brightness and clarity and love. So another way we can use awareness as a relaxation tool is to follow each breath all the way from the beginning of the in-breath all the way up to the end of the in-breath, and then the release into the out-breath, and we maintain awareness of the out-breath all the way to the end. And we maintain awareness for that gap at the bottom of the out-breath. And that gap can be short or long, doesn't matter. It can even be quite long if we're quite relaxed. It's as if the body is trying to decide when to start another in-breath, and we can just watch with interest and love. And ultimately, the in-breath will start again, and we again keep awareness on the breath. So this is a way to train in continuous awareness. And it's a training that itself is very relaxing and enjoyable. So let's do about 5 minutes of that now. And this is also another way to recognize the sprouting of the seeds of love. So, for example, breathing in, may this body be well. Breathing out, may this body be relaxed. And there's an innate quality to notice. It doesn't necessarily come with those words, but one can notice that the body wishes itself well and does itself well. And that innate healing is flipped on when we just maintain continuous awareness. So we just stay on the lookout for it. We stay on the lookout for its arising. We're not trying to bring it out. We're just on the lookout for that intrinsic well-wishing for our own being. Likewise, let's say we're maintaining continuous awareness and suddenly we go into thoughts or something, and we're on a train of thought, and then we realize that we've lost continuous awareness. Then notice that there will be, if you can notice, that there'll be an intrinsic forgiveness. There'll be an intrinsic finger snap of compassion. It's okay. That's just what the mind does. It's not a problem. Loving awareness is still there. come back. We almost bow to the distraction because it gave us the opportunity to notice loving awareness again. This is the activity of compassion, the second form of love. And then the enjoyment, just the enjoyment of breathing. And the sense that everything is okay. So as we go through our 5 minutes of continuous awareness, we can drop everything, all that you just heard, because these are just natural Dhamma seeds. So when they come up, when they start to sprout, you'll just notice them. Don't try to make them grow. The seeds are already in there. Just keep continuous awareness through each in-breath, through each out-breath. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. So whenever you're ready, as we shift into sharing, and if you should so choose, you can go ahead and gently, gradually open your eyes. And I stress gently and gradually because as we do open our eyes, if we do, we want to be careful not to allow the entirety of our awareness to start to go out again, to grab information in the form of sights and to buy into the convincing quote unquote reality of the outside world. We want to keep awareness largely more than 50% inside. So continue to watch the breath, continue to be aware, continue to notice the body, and stay grounded in your interiority, even as the eyes open. And with eyes open too, you can practice noticing sight as happening in the interiority, because sight is happening here too. It looks like it's out there, but the seeing is happening here. So again, as we do shift into sharing, and with the eyes open, just take care to keep awareness on the interiority, especially on the loving heart. So good morning again. You 22 beautiful beings. So today's the first full day of our retreat on relaxing the body in love. And I'm going to amend what I said about the 22 beautiful beings, because you are beautiful, but my own awareness recognizes you as one beautiful being. And I feel a lot of joy in that. It gives me a lot of strength and a lot of hope, a lot of joy. So let me just give a quick overview on the agenda for today. 9:30. So I'll talk for about 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes, on the topic of the morning, the domain of the morning, the first of the 16 domains in the Buddha's practice of full awareness of breathing, the long breath. Then we'll take a break for an hour, and the first check-in will be at 11:30. The check-ins usually go for about an hour. And so that'll go to 12:30. Then we'll break for lunch and we'll come back at 1:30 for another check-in, which again will take about an hour, maybe a little bit less. And the reason we put 2 check-ins here in the middle of Saturday is because after last night's talk, which was a big blast of a lot of stuff, I may have packed too much in there, but there's a lot that was shared. And I'm hoping that you're noticing experiences and noticing some insights, maybe noticing some questions and a pinch here and there that you might want to talk out. You might want to share with the group just as a sharing. You might want to ask a question. So it's good to help to unfold this topic, which is the topic of reality and how we can be comfortable in this reality. It's helpful to air it out and to share it out as we get started. At 3:30, there'll be another guided meditation on the second domain of full awareness of breathing, the domain of the short breath. That'll go about an hour. There'll be a guided meditation of about a half an hour, and then a shorter talk and open for Q&A that might go a little longer than an hour. Then we'll take a break, and at 7 o'clock we come back for a half an hour guided meditation, and I'm going to offer a talk tonight on the breath of love in daily life. And it's going to focus on 2 things. First is, I'm going to try to offer some really practical methods and techniques for integrating this practice of full awareness of the breath into our daily life, our daily activities, walking, cooking, talking, mowing the lawn, taking the dog for a walk, driving, et cetera, from the moment we wake up until the moment we fall asleep, in fact, which is the way recommended by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I hope it'll be really practical and useful. And that topic blends into this and will be offered in conjunction with a complementary way of practice that I myself have found tremendously useful. And again, it's part of this integrative effort that I'm making here with this whole retreat to integrate mindfulness practice with loving kindness practice. Simultaneously, I'm offering ways to integrate what is sometimes called the progressive path and what is sometimes called the direct path. That is the path in which we work at gradually dissolving what's holding us back, what's holding the heart from being free, what is clouding the innate and intrinsic clarity and radiant brightness of our loving heart. Because usually there's some clouds around that. So the progressive path is the path of gradually dissolving those clouds and just allowing our loving kindness to freely be shared with our own bodies and minds first, and then with others. But there's another way of practice which is actually stressed, which is stressed by some teachers, both within and without the Buddhist tradition, which allows us to go directly to the loving heart. In other words, when I say directly, I mean in a finger snap. Just like that. We're not, in this practice, we're not dissolving the clouds away. We're going right to the sun and being the sun and radiating. And so that'll be the topic of the second topic. And you can see they're interrelated. So we'll go deeper into the practice of continuous awareness of the breath. And we're going to also see how we can interlace that with going directly to metta, going directly to loving kindness. That'll be the topic for tonight. So now let me I have to laugh a little bit because I'm feeling joyful that I can share this with you. The genesis for this retreat, for the idea of this retreat, actually comes from the last retreat that I offered. And I told a story there in that retreat, which upon reflection, meaning in the days after the retreat, I recognized as having for me a kind of very profound and it made a very, very deep and lasting impact on me. And I realized that I wanted to continue to go there. I wanted to go in that direction. And that was in the direction that we've been talking about so far, but it was specifically about warm-heartedness. And the specific thing that happened to me was I was watching a series of videos that the Dalai Lama was giving. And he's quite elderly now. He's well into his 80s. And I have to say that one of the things that occurs to me as I watch the Dalai Lama today is I recall a time when I spent half an hour alone with the Dalai Lama when I was 28 years old. So at that time, I was a reporter, a journalist, and I was interviewing him about some things that were happening in China. He happened to be in the States at that time. And we spent 15 minutes talking politics. And then I spent 15 minutes with him. I was asking him what his own practice was. What did he really like to do in meditation? And it was a very warm encounter. And I realized then that that might be the only time I would have with him personally in my lifetime. I've always been very grateful for that. And I've followed him from a distance. I've never seen him again personally, but he's really stayed with me. And I spent some real time with him online just to see and compare what he was like back then. He was in his mid 40s, I think, when I met him. And now he's into his 80s. And I just saw how old he's become. And, he's the energy, the physical energy isn't there as much naturally. But I also see, I don't think I'm missing this at all, a greater intensity, a kind of greater spiritual intensity. And it came through to me because he's sitting now in his, and I think any of you have been watching him, he's sitting now in his sitting room at his home in Dharamsala, India. And he's got this gigantic display of Zoom screens in front of him. So right now I'm looking at the 22 of you. And but in the Dalai Lama's room, he's got at least 3 or 4 of these gigantic screens. And on each screen, there'll be like 100 people. So he's got like 300 or 400 people looking at him. It's all set up and he's giving his talks. And generally the talks are arranged in Q&A format so that I watch one group of like a young person's leadership group was asking questions, and another, it was a group of politicians from Australia, of all places, and so on. And they'd ask him questions one after another about this and that. And then I noticed that almost every single question, it didn't matter what the topic was, whether it was global warming or nuclear warfare or how to deal with my own frustrations or health issues, he tended to just give the same answer. And at first I wondered, is he losing it? Because every answer is the same answer. He's not, see, my mind, which I often call the stupid mind, my intellect is stupid. My intellect is thinking, he's losing it. Is that true? But as I continued to listen to him, I I recognize that he has an intensity towards the end of his life to focus on what really matters, to focus on the core thing, and to make sure nobody misses it. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to miss it. So here was his answer. Every single answer that he gave, he said, to whatever topic, he went directly to the topic of warm-heartedness. He said, the answer to your question is warm-heartedness. The answer to climate change is warm-heartedness. The answer to nuclear proliferation is warm-heartedness. The answer to your inability to concentrate and stay with your breath is warm-heartedness. Warm-heartedness, 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 warm-heartedness. And finally, I realized that's the lesson of his life. And I just felt like, I'll pick that up. So I felt like it was a direct transmission. So that's where I got the inspiration for this retreat, which feels to me like the beginning of a long and wonderful journey, and where I've got a lot to learn. And as I learn, I really love the opportunity to share as well. It's all about warm-heartedness. So let's see. Can Bill or Lori, can you throw up that picture of the Dalai Lama, the first one, labeled Dalai Lama 1? Aha. So, as Thich Nhat Hanh would suggest, can we look at this picture of the Dalai Lama right now? And can we recognize his warm-heartedness in our own hearts? Can we accept that transmission? And, you know, as it comes in, just noticing everything that comes with it. Like right now, I just feel an ocean of emotion. I mean, that's just the way I'm responding to it. Everybody will have a different response, which is just great. But there is a transmission here, I think. And he's radiating because he is radiating his own naturalness. You know, he's found a way to let himself radiate. And he's telling us all we can do it. And I'm thinking he's giving us what he's got. You know, and Thich Nhat Hanh says, just notice what's happening, breathing in and breathing out. So this can be a practice. And it's a very direct practice, right? I call metta meditation is the direct practice of the Buddha. There's nothing progressive about it. It's going right to the very source. It's going right to the essence of being as love. We don't have to wait. By the way, you might notice the mind might say some other things, but the heart knows. So to the best of your ability, just drop the mind and let the heart do what it naturally does, which is accept and allow and be full, and then to share. So let's put up Dalai Lama 2. Aha. So whenever the Dalai Lama meets somebody with a long beard, it will not be long before the Dalai Lama is pulling on that beard. If you follow the Dalai Lama, Russell Brand, he met with Russell Brand once. He grabbed Russell Brand's beard, and this is a guru in India, so he got the treatment. And so the Dalai Lama's radiant warm-heartedness comes out a lot. And as I yeah, it just does. I think we all know that, and it's just really a lovely thing. And he chuckles and giggles a lot, which is another manifestation of the radiant warm-heartedness. Yeah, he's really good at laughing. Okay, and then could you put up the one called yeah? Okay, so this is a drawing that I did after attending a retreat by another one of my teachers who was a direct path teacher. And his direct path is essentially loving kindness meditation all the time. And he focuses on awareness in the same way that Thich Nhat Hanh focuses on breathing. And that tonight we're going to be talking a lot about that. But the upshot is that in these retreats that he puts on, with sanghas of 80, 100 or more people, these barriers drop away, and within a few days, people are feeling very warm-hearted towards each other because everyone is relating to their reality directly through just being aware and being alive. And it's just a really nice feeling. So I drew this drawing to kind of express how I felt when I was on retreat with this teacher. And it's also how I feel right now towards all of you. And in any sangha. And sometimes if things are going well, which they often do, I'm happy to say I can be grocery shopping and this is how I feel about all the beings in the grocery store. Or driving, or in any kind of group setting. And it's one love, isn't it? And this is the power of metta, and it's the power of the image of the sun. By the way, metta, the word metta, loving kindness in the Buddhist language, has a root in the word mitta, which means both friend and sun. Mitta, M-I-T-T-A, friend and sun. So this image of the radiant heart is, on the one hand, a metaphor, but on the other hand, it's a lot like the living reality of our own radiant warm-heartedness. And it's a way for us, let's getting practical for a second. We can simply decide in the same way that at any given moment, we decide to smile, for example. We can also decide to know ourselves, to know our true nature as radiant warm-heartedness. Picture a sun in the middle of our chest that is beaming out, healing, radiating waves, first through our body, and then onwards towards all beings. And by the way, this is how the Buddha taught metta. This is how he taught the metta practice. He himself did not teach the practice that many of us have learned, extending metta to yourself and a benefactor, a neutral person, a difficult person. Those people are, of course, all included as the radiance goes out, to all beings. But that particular way of practice came along about 1,000 years after the Buddha taught. And on this retreat, we're just choosing to, and I'm choosing to offer this this practice of radiating metta in all directions towards all beings. Okay. Thank you for that. We can go back to gallery view, I guess. So, so let's now, again, having planted seeds, you could say, let's take a look at the practice of full awareness of breathing. And let's go ahead and put up the screen that says Be Real 1. Okay. Now, this is a schematic of the 16 steps that the Buddha taught. If any of you would like to go a little deeper, don't need to, but if you're so inclined, there is the book that we're using as the main teaching tool on this retreat is called Breathe, You Are Alive, Sutra on the Full Awareness of Breathing. I'll put that into the documents page after this talk. It's written by Thich Nhat Hanh, and the practice of full awareness of breathing is outlined by the Buddha in one of his teaching stories called the Anapanasati Sutta. Anapanasati is full awareness of breathing, awareness of the in-breath and out-breath. And as you can see, it's broken up into 4 what are usually called tetrads, with each tetrad having 4 different things that are sometimes called exercises or steps, but which I'm choosing to use the word domain. By the way, domain is not a word that Thich Nhat Hanh uses. So you can see how, and this is very, very important, is it's very important for all of us as we look at this practice to recognize that it's there for us to customize and to very much not feel like we have to march through each step, like we have to memorize each step, like the steps have to go in sequence. All of these things, by the way, are said by Thich Nhat Hanh. So I'm definitely imparting to you his own instructions to customize and to not feel also that they are going in some kind of progression, like from easy to hard, or you have to have this skill before you get the next skill. It's not like that at all. So rather than let our minds tell us these things, because every time I hope you're getting used to the way I use the phrase stupid mind, because our intellect is not our most intelligent thing, our most intelligent faculty. Our heart is our most intelligent faculty. Nevertheless, we do tend to organize our life and to see reality through the mind, which is itself the problem. And the mind will take a look at a list of 16 things. And because of our conditioning, which we got from our teachers, literally our first and second grade teachers and our college professors and our parents and everybody else, we take one look at a list and we think all these things. Like, oh, there's so much work to do here. I need to do memorization. I have to blah, blah, blah. I have to go from easy to hard. Oh, I'm going to drop off at number 8 or number 5. See, all these things are just things of the mind. I was trying to think of more apt metaphors, and I came up with 2. Please just see if you can see it. For example, see this series of domains, which are spacious open places where we can play, where we can jump and run, where we can explore within. We can explore each domain. Now, yes, there are certain kind of moves that the Buddha suggested, and Thich Nhat Hanh suggests, and all good teachers of this suggest that we can do in the domain. But the specific moves that each one of us do will be customized to your particular need, because we all have different conditioning, and different of these domains and different steps within the domain will appeal to different people based on what they need. And as I offer these, and as you, not me, but as I just convey what the Buddha offers and Thich Nhat Hanh offers, it's up to you to notice, oh, that's the step that I can really use here. So you might decide after, on this retreat, that I'm just going to do number 5 for the whole year. See what number 5 is? How about that? That would be a very cool thing to do. And in that domain, the Buddha and Thich Nhat Hanh say, you know, if you practice any one of these domains fully, with your full heart, with full participation and full interest, that's the whole path, because all the other parts of the path will naturally come up, because all of this, what these 16 steps describe, is not something that we as individuals do. It's what the intelligence of the heart itself is already doing if we just allow it. And so picking any one, and you will hopefully notice that you'll naturally gravitate towards one or two of these. And that's your entry point. And so to practice any one is to practice the entirety. That's one way to look at these steps. So having said that, yes, it's also true that it's really beneficial sometimes, for instance, to just go through all 16. So you can do a guided meditation that goes through all 16. In doing that, you may notice, oh, I went through all 16, but you know, it was that number 7 that really called out to me. And then you'll decide to spend a week or a month or a year on number 7. You see what number 7 is? Noticing the mental traps of greed, hatred, and delusion. That could be the practice for you, because that's what you want to do. You're drawn to that. So, it can just be worked with almost an infinite number of ways, and it's up for us to figure out what's the best way for us, for each one of us. So my two images that I find useful is, number one, I see this like I see the full awareness of breathing practice to be like a soil bed for a garden. It's the soil bed. It's preparing the garden. It's going out there and tilling the soil, amending the soil, enriching the soil with our awareness, and with the Dhamma rain. You know, it's giving the soil lots of nutrients from our awareness, from the rain of Dhamma. However you like to put it, it's literally describing the soil of our inner world right here. We're looking right at it. Like the outer world has objects in it, seeming objects, lamps and bowls and tables and chairs and such, and other people. The inner world has sensations of the body, perceptions of the senses, and thoughts of the mind. That's the furniture of the interiority. That's what we're dealing with here. This is a map of our interiority, along with instructions on how to skillfully navigate our interiority so we keep walking towards happiness instead of suffering. That's what's being offered here. And it's the soil bed of our consciousness, and in which, on this retreat, we're scattering the seeds of love, compassion, joy, equanimity, so that practicing here in the soil of our being with constant awareness, we're making those seeds grow up through the soil of full awareness of breathing. That's one image that I have to counter the the frustrating image that will stop you from practicing, which is, oh, here's a list of 16 things I have to do. What a drag. That's what the mind says. The mind does not come up with helpful thoughts most of the time. That's not a helpful thought. It's more helpful to think of the full awareness of breathing as the soil of our consciousness, in which we can make the seeds of love and compassion and joy and equanimity grow. And the other image I came up with is, it's a jungle gym on the playground that we can climb on any way we like, and we can go from here to there, and we can go up and down, and we can have fun and exercise and learn lots about our interiority just by playing on it. And I kind of like that image too. Okay, let's go to Be Real number 2. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So every teacher has to come up with acronyms, right? So for helpful reminders. So, okay, everything that I just said about full awareness of breathing as the soil of consciousness, that's all true. It's also true because Dhamma is amazing and works in so many different ways. It's also true that should one, on some occasions, decide to go sequentially through, you can do that too, if you should so decide, and it's very powerful that way. For example, every retreat, I talk about the Satipatthana, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, which take us to 4 progressively, there's the word progressively deeper levels of the mind. Starting with the body, which is fairly gross and fairly, obvious. And we go more subtly in the second foundation of mindfulness, which is the realm of feelings, pleasant and unpleasant feelings, liking and disliking. Then we go to the level of mind, which has emotions and perceptions and moods and attitudes and all kinds of things, which are more complex still and deeper still. And finally, we can get to, if we work skillfully with all of the above, we can get to a point where we start to see, in the 4th foundation of mindfulness, we start to see in the most subtle possible way, the way life itself is, the way reality actually is, as opposed to the way we normally perceive it to be and the way we normally relate to it as a result. In other words, in step 4, we see things the way they really are. And so the Anapanasati also happens to be a way to practice Satipatthana. So the first 4 of the domains are in the domains of the body. Steps 5, 6, 7, and 8 are in the realm of feelings, the domain of feelings, pleasant and unpleasant, liking and disliking. Steps 9, 10, 11, and 12 is the realm of the mind, chitta in Pali. And steps 13 through 16 are the realm of dhammas, that is the way things are, reality. And you might notice that looking there, it's like there are the familiar markers of reality, impermanent. Impermanence being the main one. Everything that we experience is always arising and disappearing. Every single thing that we notice is always arising and disappearing. And finally, the domain of dhammas. And so that's the domain of dhammas there at the end. So I came up with this acronym that the first tetrad is all about relaxation, and that's what we're practicing this weekend. And hopefully the first quarter of this year, just really learning how to relax. And by the way, you might just check in with, how good are you at relaxing? Now, so get to, for instance, when I ask that of myself, I say, not very good. I'm not good at relaxing. I'm getting better, but and but it took me a long time to start to even get a clue what real relaxation is. Real relaxation is letting go of the thoughts that normally control behavior and the way we shape the world in our mind and the way we relate to other people. Normally, we're following thoughts that take us in an unhealthy direction. Real relaxation is letting go of those thoughts so that we can relax back into our true nature, which has a deeper intelligence than the mind. It's the intelligence of loving. And so it took me a long time to learn how to relax. And it's a whole huge practice in itself. And in a sense, is the whole practice, because you start by relaxing, but Nibbana is the ultimate relaxation. So it's the alpha and the omega. It's a really important step. That's what we're doing this weekend. I'm just offering these to right at the beginning of this year, just trying to offer this context for the whole practice so we know where we are kind of in along the journey. So then the next 4 steps, which will be in June, is the step of enjoyment. And enjoyment goes 5, 6, 7, and 8, actually. Enjoyment itself is 5 and 6. 7 and 8 starts to get into a somewhat different territory. But notice 5 and 6, joy and contentment. By the way, I'll tell you one thing my mind is producing right now is actually a thought that comes from wisdom, which says those 2 things would be good to stick around in for a while and really learn how to do those. And please notice that the Buddha himself put enjoyment almost at the very top of the list of ways to practice. And on any given session or at any given moment in life, you might just say to yourself, you know what I need to do right now? I need to relax and enjoy. And in one full in-breath and out-breath, or one moment of noticing that you're aware, you can relax and enjoy really, really profoundly. So relaxing and enjoying are the first 2 tetrads. Now the middle one, the middle ones there, that's all about investigation, which is the standpoint of, I am going to, now that I've got some relaxation and I'm calm, and like right now, my body's relaxing, I can feel centered. Now I'm going to use my clarity of mind to really start to look and understand the furniture of my interiority, the landscape of my interiority. And I'm going to learn how to be skillful with it. And this is the process of investigation. It's a process of a real involved and caring exploration of your interiority, so we can become more skillful with our interiority. And we do that primarily through noticing our mental traps, knowing how the mind works. That's the 3rd tetrad there. And then noticing the fundamental characteristics of reality. Those of you who are into Dhamma and so forth and the terminology, you might well notice that relax and enjoy will be part of the first part of insight meditation, which is samadhi. And ask and investigate is part of the second part of insight meditation, which is vipassana, investigation, clear seeing. These 2 go together. They support each other. Relaxation supports insight. Insight supports relaxation. So once again, we can see how the full awareness of breathing, the practice, it's the path only laid out with unprecedented detail, and opportunities for us to work with, this soil of our being. And by the way, can you see too how, let's just say, look at number 16. We do not have to wait until we master 1 through 15 before we get to 60. We don't have to wait. No. 16 is not harder than 1. In some ways, 16 is the easiest, and we've all done it many times already in our life. seriously, we have. The only thing is we have normally up until now not given it the attention and the credit. We have not given ourselves enough credit for doing the highest of all practices every single time we manage to let go. If we can let go of a little thought that's ruining our day, we're doing 16 right now. Ever notice that? It's like, if you can just get rid of one thought, your whole day brightens up. And if you can take a couple of breaths and let go, you just did 16. And you should throw a party because you're able to do that. Okay. So this is the real way. I think I'm going to trademark that, and we'll see what it does for my teaching career. And this weekend, we're working on relaxing and enjoying. Oh, we're going to move on in just 1 second, but let me just add one more comment here from Thich Nhat Hanh. And it's a really interesting and important one that gives us a clue into, or an insight into, how to use these steps. So he says that every time we begin a session where we, want to consciously, do this practice, or for that matter, anytime we want to kind of work through something skillfully, that the way we should do it is to always include the first four, and in other words, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6. So it's not like, oh, I'm only going to do 1 through 4 now. Can't do 5 and 6 because I'm not, I've decided not to do that today. By the way, that's another thing that will never work, because as soon as you start really doing the long breath, you're going to start feeling joy. Or you're going to start to notice a mental trap. Do you see what I mean? We should never be trapped by thinking we need to be in one realm or the other. On the other hand, it's usually a good idea to have a general sense that I'm kind of grounding my experience right now in the long breath and noticing what other things come up. It's kind of like a foreground, background thing. So, okay, we're going to do the long breath now, noticing that we keep that in the foreground, but notice that other things start to happen. So we definitely want to be aware of that. And we want to notice the other things that come up, but we use one thing as a base. And Thich Nhat Hanh is saying that to create a good base for ourselves in any session or in any moment, that we want to actually mix relaxing and enjoying. He says, actually, if you're going to get anywhere on the rest of the path, you need to learn how to relax and enjoy first. He said, always put 1 through 4 and 5 and 6 together, relaxing and enjoying. And it's not like you have to do long breath, short breath, whole body, calm body. Once you touch in with that finger snap of relaxation, you know it. So get that, oh, okay, one breath. I'm feeling much more relaxed now. Am I enjoying it? And then definitely consciously notice the enjoyment. Consciously notice the relaxation, consciously notice the enjoyment, and then move on. So this is the base: relaxation, enjoyment, conscious relaxation, conscious enjoyment. Again, offered just as a way to skillfully use this particular path. So a couple of comments now about I hopefully helpfully comments on number 1, the long breath. And by the way, I really hope that you recognize that this is very introductory, and hopefully, the beginning of possibly a lifetime of practice, a weekend of practice, a year of practice, maybe even a lifetime of practice. These are all seeds that I'm throwing out. they could, each and every one of them could be extended, for a long time with great fruition. On the long breath, another great teacher of the full awareness of breathing is Buddha Dasa from Thailand, and he calls the first step, the long breath, the Buddha's pranayama. The Buddha himself lived at a time when there were plenty of teachers teaching just pranayama, which is consciously manipulating the breath for our own benefit, our health benefit. And the kind of core thing to remember, if you don't remember anything else from this session about the long breath, is that, and this is not offered as something to memorize, but it's something to practice with and see if it can work for you, is that, working with the breath is a way to work with our body. So if we're having a pain in our knee or our hip or our heart, our literal heart, physical heart, the best and most effective way to deal with it from a mindfulness standpoint is through our breathing. The Buddhist terminology is there is a breath body and there is a physical body. And we treat our physical body by skillfully breathing. That, another way to put that is, our breath body shapes our physical body. That's the core idea here. It's the core idea of the long breath. And it's something for us to practice with. So for instance, today, between this session and the check-in, or any time today, you can take a long breath and just notice how the whole body feels as a result of your taking a long breath. How, in your experience, does the long breath shape or affect your whole body? So Buddha Dasa called the long breath the Buddha's pranayama. It's how he taught pranayama, all there in the first and to some degree the second. There were some elements of that in our guided meditation this morning. Okay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do with your permission. I hope you're okay with this. Okay, we can let go of that image, Bill and Lori. Thank you. With your permission, I'm going to just go ahead and finish, go to 10:30 and not take any questions on this session. We've got the check-in at 11:30. We've got another one at 1:30. So please, collect your Post-its and your notes on things you'd like to share and ask. But there's just one more thing I really would like to kind of bring out and put on the table here as we get started on the weekend. With regard to the full awareness of breathing. And it's a point that has to do with relaxing and enjoying. Yeah, I think the most important thing that I've ever learned about the full awareness of breathing, and the most important thing that I have ever practiced and found the most useful and still continue to try to hone as my own skill, is to find ways for me to very, very meaningfully connect in the deepest possible way with my breath and with my awareness. In some way, that's because I've noticed that as I practice and things do on some occasions get a little deeper, I notice that the actual dividing line between my breath and awareness start to dissolve, and they're noticed as one. But from a more practical standpoint, the reason I'm stressing this, and I see my best teachers stress this, is unless we find joy in the practice, unless we find relaxation in the practice, and also can do it pretty quickly, we're just not gonna do the practice, and we're not gonna sustain. We have to find joy in it. We have to find a real deep connection with our innermost being. And it has to, at least initially, feel exciting. Initially, I say, because as the path goes on, things do calm down and you're not in a level of excitement anymore. But to make that first connection is really important. That's why the Buddha put joy and relaxation right at the top. We have to find ways to connect very profoundly and very quickly. And it's up to each one of us to figure out how we're going to do that and how we do that. For instance, you may have a way already. So then the thing would be to underscore it, pay attention to it, breathe into it, and develop that point of connection so that it becomes firmer and firmer, even to the point that it becomes what the Buddha called Indra's pillar, meaning it goes down into the core of your being as your point of connection with your being. It's the pillar of your being that you find that connection. So I'm going to offer two beautiful descriptions. First, of the way that a beautiful teacher called Panavati Bhikkhuni, she is a teacher in the Theravada tradition. And this is a beautiful little passage where she describes how she accomplishes that, how she has accomplished that, and always finds the turn towards the inner world to be refreshing, joyful, and relaxing for her. She says, for her, meditation is more about quality than quantity. For me, meditation is like slipping away to be with a lover. There's something about the arousal of preparing for the encounter, of knowing that in a while I'll be there and not wanting to leave. If you don't have that, meditation becomes just one more of the 100 other things you do. We lose something when we make it a practice, in quotes. This is my interjection, but if you're on the jungle gym, that's not practice. That's refreshing and it's strengthening, but it's not practice. She goes on, you get up in the morning, you make your bed, you brush your teeth. These are the things that you do, but meditation is something different. There's a relationship happening when I'm together with the silence, the way I'm in it, until it's no longer me and the silence. Where does the silence end and where do I begin? This is how she connects deeply with meditation, with the full awareness of breathing. And here is Thich Nhat Hanh in the same way, describing how he fundamentally connects with full awareness of breathing. He says, those who practice meditation should know how to nourish themselves with the joy and happiness of meditative concentration in order to reach real maturity and help the world. Life in this world is both painful and miraculous. The violet bamboo, the yellow chrysanthemum, the white clouds, and the full moon are all wondrous expressions of the Dharmakaya, the body of the Dharma. Your body, even though it is impermanent, without an independent self and subject to suffering, is also infinitely wondrous. The joy of beginning to meditate is like leaving the city and going off the countryside to sit under a tree. We feel ourselves filled with peace and joy. What a relief. So, can we sit and be in our essence and watch the doings of this mind and the body in the same way that we sit on a beach and look out over the ocean and the sky. Because they're not different. Our interiority is not different from the ocean and the sky. It's nature unfolding as it will. It quote unquote looks a little different from the ocean and the sky, but there's just a natural unfolding that is like clouds gathering and disappearing. Thoughts gather and disappear. Emotions gather and disappear. We can all watch that in here. The image comes up of watching a fire crackle at night. You know how it's kind of mesmerizing, and it's very peaceful to watch a fire just doing its thing. Our interiority is always doing its thing, and it's always doing it in that miraculous way. The more we become familiar with it and intimate with it, the more we and the more we enjoy it, the more we can live there. So I feel that this weekend and these practices take us to this interior place, this which is the fullness of our being, where all things are happening, including those that appear to be outside. When we can be in that place, these practices take us to that place. We visit it more and more often. We stay there more and more often, and finally we just move in and we live there. And then we're living the Brahma Viharas. We're just living as being. So that brings us to 10:30. I'm wishing you a wonderful hour of the full awareness of being aware of breathing. Let's gather again at 11:30, and please bring experiences, insights, reflections, and questions, and we can practice together then.